Hello and welcome to Sam Not So Wise. My name is Sam and today I've got a tag video for you. I was tagged by the man himself, Seanin from Seanin's Shelf. He's an awesome booktuber. We started on the same day. I really love his content. And we actually had a chat not too long ago about what it's like being a booktube newbie. So I'll put that in the description if you want to check that out. But I was really happy to get a tag video because my life is a little bit busy at the moment. When you're seeing this, I will be in the UK celebrating my brother's 30th birthday. Yay, happy birthday, Danny. And this comes after a busy week of work and rehearsals. And as soon as I get back, I'm going to be straight into work, straight into rehearsals, got 2 gigs at the weekend. So the content is going to be a bit slower. So yes, I was happy to have something a bit easier where I'm just given prompts and I don't have to think too much. Not that you can tell that I think about stuff, but anyway, let's talk about the tag. The tag is all about kind of discovery of reading and also how reading changes you as a person. So with much further ado, let's talk about browsing. So prompt number 1, I need to read it. Magic of discovery. Share a book you found whilst browsing that you may not have discovered otherwise. This one's a little hard to answer for me because I generally don't tend to pick at random or go into a bookshop and just look and read the backs and pick something. I have a long list of stuff that I'm looking for, like my TBR is extremely long already. I don't need to be picking up random stuff. But how I'm going to answer this is I found the Bachman books by Stephen King. I've been a Stephen King fan for a few years now, and I'd heard of his writing under the pseudonym of Bachman, Richard Bachman. And I read Rage from this recently. It's something I'd heard of, but wasn't necessarily looking for. I picked this up mainly for The Long Walk, which is in this, which I really want to read. But yeah, I read Rage, whereas I wouldn't have if I hadn't found this compendium. And there are 2 other books in here that I'm now interested in reading and will at some point. So that's definitely, that counts. I think that counts. And another one is Dying Inside by Robert Silverberg. So again, I've heard of this author and I've wanted to read this book. So yeah, it's a bit of a cheat because I've always been interested, but I was lucky to find this in a vintage bookshop in Greenwich in London a month ago or something. And I was just so happy to find this because I didn't think I'd ever actually find it secondhand because I've never seen it before. So yes, this was a magical discovery for me either way. Another one, not necessarily magical, but I do a lot of shopping on the Kindle store online and I do the Kindle Daily Deals, which is like books for £1. I love it. I love cheap books. And I found Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. So yes, again, I had heard of her, but I was lured by the cheap price, the £1 price tag. And it's a romance book and I don't really read romance books. So it was kind of an interesting discovery for me to read this book. In the end, I didn't really like it, but it was fun to get a different perspective. Prompt number 2, expanding world. Share a book that's made you view things from a different perspective or expose you to new ideas. So I think Seanin mentioned something similar in that basically all books I read do this. Again, I know it's a bit of a cheat, but all books I read do offer me a different perspective or expose me to new ideas, and that's pretty much why I read and why I pick those books up, because I think it will give me these other perspectives. So a bit of a cheat answer again, but I do want to mention Terry Pratchett. You'll see some of them up there maybe, because I think he had a special talent of giving you different perspectives on the mundane. You know, he would give you something that seems totally normal for people to do and just looking at it from an outside point of view, often showing us stupidity of it, but also showing us kind of the smartness of some of the normal things we do, but giving it a funny twist or sometimes just a really philosophical twist of like, yeah, of course we do that. That makes absolute sense. So I really like his different perspectives on the mundane. Again, I've mentioned this book a lot, but 1984, this basically showed me what writing can do. It was totally different to anything I'd ever read before. And it just opened my eyes to a different perspective of writing and storytelling and how the ending isn't squeaky clean and there's no like hero saving the day. So that really changed my perspective on how things can be written. And I just want to point out that sci-fi, the genre of ideas, again, I read this for different perspectives on big thoughts, and that basically I read sci-fi to be exposed to new ideas, something that I wouldn't have thought of or I'm not smart enough to put into words myself. Prompt number 3 is open to change. Share a book that has changed who you are as a person or altered your day-to-day habits. Again, I find this one quite difficult and kind of similar to the previous question. But yeah, it's difficult to answer because I don't read much non-fiction. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not a big non-fiction reader, so I feel like they're more the ones that might alter your day-to-day habits or change who you are as a person. But basically, I would argue that any of my favorite books, things that I find really impactful to me, have changed me as a person. So something like a 1984, something like The Wheel of Time, something like some of the deeper sci-fi books I've read, they have changed me as a person. I wouldn't say they've changed me, my day-to-day habits, other than I read more because I enjoy them. But something that's coming up, I'm going to be studying English as an English degree soon. Hopefully I get in, starting in January. So I'm hoping that that's going to really change me as a person and change my day-to-day habits and how I read and how I talk and how I think. That's what I really want from this degree. And again, another little cheat, but Icelandic, learning Icelandic and reading Icelandic, I really feel like that has changed me the most as a person, because reading a language, it completely changes the way your brain works. Like learning and reading in a second language does just change you. And I find myself just like analyzing language, English or Icelandic, at a level that I never did before. And it's just completely rewired my brain, and I love it for that. And yeah, so that's the biggest thing that has changed me. Prompt number 4. Browse a bookstore, library or a friend's shelves and talk about a book you found. Well, I went to a bookshop the other day, my favourite one in Reykjavik, basically the only good one, and I found a couple of books, so I can talk about them. I went browsing there and I found Fever Dream by George R.R. Martin, one of his lesser known books because it's not A Song of Ice and Fire, and this is set in our world, and I believe it is a vampire book. I'm not the biggest vampire person, but I love George R.R. Martin and I'm interested to read outside of A Song of Ice and Fire, so happy to find this and in good condition. And then I also found Ghost Written by David Mitchell. So I mentioned him in my top 10 authors list recently, link in the description. And I've loved 2 of the 3 books that I've read by him, so I'm looking at reading more, and I was very happy to find this, which I believe is his first book. Somebody else's shelves, a friend's shelves. So I'm going to talk about Seanin, actually. So he's talked a lot about Dostoevsky, and he's basically tried to get me into Dostoevsky. So I'm very interested in picking some of that up if I find some. And he's doing a read-along of Mark Twain next year. He's reading a book a month, and I'm going to be joining him for that because that sounds something like, something new for me to do. And there are a couple of books that do interest me, and also it might relate to my English degree because we're doing an American literature course in my first semester. So it's good timing. So Twain, I'll be picking that up. So that's, a new one for me. And I'm going to mention my older brother, Gav. So I mentioned David Mitchell. I found a book on his shelves. Well, I always like looking at his shelves because they're very nice. And he studied English literature as a degree when he was studying. So I used that as inspiration for some potentially really good books. But I found Black Swan Green on there a couple of years ago when I was visiting, and I just read it in a few days. And it was really, really impactful and beautiful and heartbreaking and a really nice book. So yeah, I probably wouldn't have picked that up without him. And now I love David Mitchell a lot. So I have Gav to thank for that. And I'm going to go stay at his house soon. So I'm sure I'll be browsing his books then as well. although this will now be in the future, in the past. Anyway, not at the right time. I'll have already seen him by the time this video comes out. Stop rambling! Anyway, that's the end of the video. Hopefully it wasn't too long, as my videos usually are. I want to thank Seanin again for the tag and also being a cool guy. Thank you, Seanin. So I need to tag some people. I don't feel like I've made too many friends yet. Nobody loves me. So I don't have too many people to tag. But I am going to tag Rachel from the Reading Fairy because I've had some nice conversations with her. And I'm going to tag Nev from Nev's book channel. I've never seen him do a tag, but I'm going to tag him anyway, just in case he wants to, because I'd like to hear his answers. I like hearing what he has to say. Also, just feel free to do this tag yourself. Let me know if you do. Let me know your thoughts about my answers in the comments below. Like and subscribe for more ramblings. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far, and I'll see you soon. But not too soon because I'm really busy. Bye!